Most people treat interruption like a minor annoyance. It is not. It is often a power signal. The moment you keep shrinking your voice to keep the peace, you teach people your words can be skipped. And every time you reward interruption with silence, apology, or over-explaining, it gets stronger. That is how respect erodes quietly. Being cut off is not just about conversation, it is about whether your presence has weight. Today I'm giving you one phrase that makes people stop in their tracks. Not a comeback, not an argument, a calm boundary. And most people never realize how quickly a room learns to ignore them when they do not protect their turn to speak. If you want to be heard, you have to stop disappearing the moment someone talks over you. And the phrase is simpler than you think. People interrupt for a reason. Sometimes it is control. Sometimes it is attention. Sometimes it is the need for a faster emotional reaction. Respect versus testing. Control versus ego. They jump in, finish your sentence for you, redirect the topic, dismiss your point, or act like your thought is already obvious. But the point is rarely just impatience. It is often a subtle attempt to move you out of position. Most people never realize that interruption can be a way of measuring whether you will defend your place or surrender it. Stoicism teaches that not every behavior deserves your compliance. You do not have to absorb every interruption as if it is normal. The hidden cost of letting it continue is that you begin speaking like your voice is optional. And the answer is simple, but it only works when it is used with calm certainty. The one phrase is, let me finish. Clarity versus drama. Restraint versus reaction. This phrase does not attack, explain, or apologize. It quietly closes the door on interruption. It tells the other person your thought is still in motion and your voice still matters. And that is what makes it powerful. Most people never realize how much power they lose by treating every interruption like something they must absorb politely. Stoicism teaches that self-command begins when you stop giving away your turn. The hidden strength of this phrase is that it is short enough to be unmistakable and calm enough to be respected. No emotional surge, no debate, no begging, just a clean boundary. You are not asking permission to speak. You are finishing what you started. And once the phrase is spoken, your posture and silence decide whether the boundary holds. After you say it, do not keep talking over your own boundary. Calm continuation versus emotional collapse. Silence versus surrender. The power of the phrase multiplies when it is followed by a pause, steady eye contact, and then a return to the exact point you were making. That pause matters. It tells the room you are not rattled, and you are not begging to be heard. Most people never realize that saying the right words and then shrinking afterward destroys the effect. Stoicism teaches that control is not just speech. It is timing, presence, and refusing to be pulled off center. The hidden cost of rushing to keep the peace is that you teach people they can interrupt you and still control the flow. This is not a performance. It is a signal that you are not moving until your thought is complete. And if it happens again, the boundary has to become clearer. If they keep interrupting, the boundary has to become direct. You can repeat the same calm phrase or move to a firmer line like, I'll continue when I'm not being interrupted. Directness versus hesitation. Respect versus testing. Repetition matters because people often push when they sense uncertainty. Most people never realize how much space they surrender by softening every boundary until it disappears. They say it too lightly, too vaguely, too late, and then the interruption keeps going. Stoicism values directness without ego, and this is what that looks like in conversation. The hidden cost of staying quiet through repeated interruption is that your words begin to lose weight in your own mind. You start acting like your voice can be stepped over. Composure is not passivity, it is consistency. And the next phrase is not about fighting for control, it is about making the room more orderly. The goal is not to become louder, it is to become impossible to ignore. Slower speech, shorter sentences, pauses between thoughts, and refusing to rush just because someone else is impatient. Pace versus pressure. Calm timing versus emotional reaction. High-status communication is often slow, clear, and hard to interrupt because it carries weight. Most people never realize that when they stop racing the room, they start leading it. Stoicism teaches that timing is part of control. The hidden cost of speaking too fast is that others start treating your thoughts like disposable noise. But when you speak with patience, your words begin to land with more force. Calm authority is not a personality trait. It is a skill. And the phrase works because it comes from a person who has learned to govern their voice, not surrender it to the moment. The goal is not to become louder. It is to become impossible to dismiss. A person who speaks with calm authority becomes rare, and rarity creates respect. These phrases work because they come from self-respect, not performance. A Stoic person does not fight for attention. They hold their place with composure. They do not shrink when interrupted, and they do not overcorrect with anger. They simply keep their voice steady and their standards visible. That is what changes the way people respond. Remember this. When you stop surrendering your turn, your voice starts carrying weight. If this spoke to you, comment which phrase you need most. Subscribe for more Stoic wisdom and keep building the kind of presence that cannot be easily talked over.